Hey everyone, it's Morgan. Welcome back to The Roottrees Are Dead, where we are desperate. Last time we managed to scrape by a few things. The Rafferty Clark situation turned out to be quite an affair, where he went through two sisters from the same family, married both of them, had kids with both of them. Yeah, he was doing something. We were trying to narrow down pictures for Ernest Jr. and Clark back at the reunion for their generation. I've done some swapping about, but I just could not get it down. Actually, we do know now, because we put the picture to Jim from this album, that this is likely Clark here. We have Clancy with his job in advertising in a picture, but it did not confirm, so I'm not sure if I got confused about his job or did I get confused about this picture, and I've had it wrong the whole time that this is Elias's picture and this is Clancy's picture, or what's happening. The mysterious lady that says she's a Roottrie, related in some way to Sam, says she's writing a book about the family, and she just wants to make sure she's got all of her facts straight and they're verifiable. Unless she's like from Sam's line, like, you know, there was a different family here and she's like a child from the same family down, so she's not actually on the tree. I don't know. But because we need 4 to confirm and we have barely any information, things are getting harder. Now, in my desperation, I've written down all of the names remaining in our name selector to kind of get a feel of what's happening. Now, there's quite a few women here, mostly not Roottrie women, and quite a few less men, so they might be easier to track down. We are missing a lot of wives that are not required for confirmation. There's just optional, so this is likely where a lot of this comes in. Where we have still Roottrees, a lot of them, or basically all of them, will be in this section, right? Because in the other sections, we either have people filled in with names, and further down this side, they don't use the Roottrie name because it was changed through marriage. So we have the 2 sons here that we know of, so they will be 2 of the Roottrie men. And then we have an option for a son here or a son here, one of those. Now, I am assuming that the son's name is Roottrie, because otherwise we don't have 2 other men whose surname is a match. But I might be wrong. I think we know that Margaret's husband kept the... Like, he took his wife's name. This is why Gwyneth's name is Roottrie. But there is something weird going here with the link, right? She got married and divorced, and we read about this divorce. But then the way the kids are put in a box instead of connected, we don't know what exactly is happening with it. But that leads me to believe, like, they might still be Roottrie because, you know, she was the famous one, so they kept the name or something like that. So it does leave those 2 other guys basically as the potential husbands here, because even though the husband took her name, like, he would be listed under his original name, not the Roottrie name. Because I think everywhere else we are looking for name for wives. So that's what it is. Now, I am yet to find the name of Gwyneth's husband, which feels like she was known, she was a movie star, even minor movie star, and her divorce is mentioned, but we haven't seen who is she married to, who was she married to. So I'm trying to see if we can look up any of those guys. There we go. Okay, again, information about movies, so that should be good. Walter Forsythe is listed in the cast of a movie called Gal in the Gang, which was directed by Bruce Throckmorton It appears to be a low-budget comedy, but there's no other information about it anywhere else. Okay, could this be the husband then? Again, do we get anything from search, even though it says there is no more information? Just to make sure. Yep, can we look up Bruce Morden? Because, I don't know, maybe she got married to him, but then we don't have his name on the thing. Okay, he was a movie director, released movie every year from mid-1960s until his death on set in 1993. Most of his movie could be described as camp, especially those from the early 70s, although you notice some critics seem to take offense with that characterization. I don't know, maybe something. So we're looking at this Walter Forsythe as the potential husband now. Can we just look up her and a divorce? Did we just miss this obvious thing? Okay, by searching by variations of Gwyneth Roottrie, you come across mentions of a marriage to Bill Williams. They divorced before the birth of the second child. I kept saying, this is the guy that she married because he was such a womanizer who liked blondes and had links to Paris. But his name is not on the list. Did he change his name? Is that what's happening? But yes, I didn't previously look up her divorce because this isn't... Like, while this is a search engine, what we get is not the results from the search engine, right? We get like a condensed message of what the game wants us to know was the result of the search. So I just kind of went by, okay, if it wanted us to know more information, they would have probably just said it in the lookup when looking her up. But yes, apparently sometimes I may have been missing things if I didn't add the additional term. Now, while it did find something, it just brought me back to the same thing. The Wild Bill, whatever his name is, let me get that down properly, is the husband. But how would we find his real name? Because the Linus Cornwall, he doesn't come up anywhere. So the only thing is Walter Forsythe. Like, this guy at least was an actor. Could he have changed his name? Like, again, can we look this guy up in some periodicals? Will there be more movies? No. Okay. Moving on to, let's just look anyone up. So we have... From Patricia Christiansen, we have Christiansen Steel was a steel company in Butler Country. On a World War II history page, you find that it contributed to the war effort by creating parts for vehicles, but after that went out of business. Christiansen Steel and Patricia Christiansen both are mentioned in the book review for Steamy Correspondence by Tina Angelina. Okay. Well then, let's see how steamy this thing gets. I assume the time period is gonna tell us about maybe who she married. Printing Steamy PDF. This is a book of historical letters with an erotic twist. Each letter is accompanied by context from the book's author. A letter from the book has been added to your pages. Now, is this going to be inappropriate content? In 1934, someone who goes by Patch wrote a letter full of innuendo to an unknown gentleman who is clear she had a romantic history with. Patch is thought by the book author to have been Patricia Christiansen, a daughter of the owner of Christiansen Steel. Her nickname was Pat, and Ch were the first two letters of her last name, and Patricia Christiansen was also known to appreciate wordplay like this. Patricia, who would have been in her mid-20s when the letter was written, was married to an older man of no notable status. This letter was most definitely not to him. There are also a few passages after the steamy bits that mention a daughter, leading Tina Angelina to theorize that this letter was written to the father of a child she hid from society in some way. This letter ends on a mention of a twisted twin that seems to evoke imagery from a classic literature. If not for her story, yours and mine would be the most tragic tale ever told. How awful it is that such beauty was ripped from its rightful fate, and worse, sent to live in a possession of your brother's twisted twin. Left an outcast, forced to live a life of labor under a wicked relative. It's like something from a start of a children's fable. She deserves not the life he has been sentenced to. I can't stand to be apart from you both. Someday I shall return to you, and I pray that he has not corrupted her to know his sins. I swear that on that joyous day, with all of the strength I can muster, I will fight for our child's freedom. Let us pray her fable has a happy ending. Tina has no theory for what the more cryptic parts of that mean. Okay, so they cut the steamy bits. We don't get the steamy bits. But this is most likely referring to how Sam came to be, and we will need those names. We will need those names. Now, what we're also learning from this Patricia is likely the other Patricia, so if Patricia's Christiansen is on the list, then then Patsy, this other Patricia, is Ernie Jr.'s wife, because she uses Patch instead of Patsy. But that's not the big bit, right? The big bit is that this Patricia Christiansen, had a child with someone, and then this child got sent to live with someone else. But that implies that she had a child with someone other than Elias Jr., and the child was just then sent to him, your brother's twisted twin. So that's probably what's gonna be happening there in the secret envelope. So I think we can put down Patricia Jones as the wife here, because Patricia Christiansen will be involved here. Because it says it's a twin, and the choice here is it's between Elias Jr. and Clancy Edwards. So was she having an affair with him, and then they took the kid in because he didn't have any, but they already had several, so didn't need any more. that added something. Let's see if looking up any other names gets us anywhere. Okay, we have Penelope Tessagrini. Penelope Tessagrini is a retired comedian. There's a result for La Flange, okay, a club in Reno that claims Penelope got her stand-up start and first did her famously raunchy breast milk cheese routine in the 80s before she was TV star on Brother Trouble. Okay, someone else was on Brother Trouble with one of the actor guys. Should look it up in a bit. The site claims she retired for the birth of her first child, but still makes yearly appearances for fundraisers, doing more family-friendly material. You find a picture labeled Joko Lantern, 1997, as well as different picture labeled Jack watching one of his mother's charity sets, 1994. Both have been added to the evidence. Okay. Yep, it's 1989 sitcom about two 16-year-old brothers, the same age, one adopted. Oh, yeah, it's Tommy Mark Sheridan and Dustin Christopher Baker. We've not seen this name before. He's not on our remaining list, but he might be there somewhere. Their single mother, played by stand-up Penelope Tessagrini, often had to navigate her job as a magazine columnist, as well as the troubles that come with raising two boys who were extremely competitive in sports, academics, and even romantic pursuit of their next-door neighbor, Roxy. The showrunner was small screen director Ron Roottrees. Is that the guy that no, because Ron could be Ronald actually. The show had strong ratings through the entire of season 1, rocketing both Sheridan and Baker to instant stardom, mostly among the teenage girl demographic. However, it was cancelled in 1991, midway through the second season, due to a significant drop-off in ratings. Okay. Now, we know about Tommy Mark Sheridan, like he was in the tutorial because he's married to one of the Roottrees sisters. But it seems like more of the people from the same situation may have worked itself into the family. Okay, well, who is this guy? Okay, so Dustin Christopher Baker, DCB. He has teenage fans. Since leaving Brother Trouble, he has appeared in a few straight to VHS movies that adapt classical literature to family audience with minor success. The most popular of which was Jane Eyre, reimagined the Charlotte Bronte novel as a high school romance with focus on skateboarding. He doesn't seem to be associated. Yeah, this is not it. So, okay. And Ron. Yeah, Ron Roottrees, small screen director, at the head of RR Productions. He directed episodes of a few other shows before showrunning and creating Citizen Heat Brother Trouble. The Fang Production Company, responsible for Brother Trouble. You find a comment on Usenet board starting that Brother Trouble ended up being an iconic name considering the rumors about RR Productions, Ron, and Robbie Roottrees. Okay. Not much relevant information about Robbie Roottrees. In a comment thread on a message board about television cliches, you find a thread called "Why was Brother Trouble cancelled?" One user speculates. I think it's because the writing went really downhill in season 2. They actually had an episode where Roxy was addicted to sniffing markers. Another person replied, maybe it's due to the rumor about Robbie Roottrees in Silver Screen magazine. Okay, so we were missing this magazine about movies and TV all this time, which is likely where we're gonna find missing links like the goddamn Gwyn husband. Robbie and Ron sound like Robert and Ronald, which in my head are highly likely to be the Gwyn's two boys, right? Like they're two brothers and they get into like TV and movie production, so that sounds like something that would be in a family. Did you mean Silver Screen magazine? Yes, I did mean that. Okay, now we've uncovered it. It's a Hollywood Insider magazine, less about actors and actresses and more about the nitty-gritty of writing, directing, costuming, set design, film promotion, other elements of filmmaking. Ran from 1983 to 1993. It was bought by a bigger, more recognizable magazine a few years ago, and the website now really directs to the new magazine, but the new magazine is no relevance. Okay. Now we have it, so hey, first can we look up I know this is not like a gossip magazine, it's about like actual industry, but yeah, nothing here. Okay, let's start RR Productions. A small rumors article from 1992 that claims that television screenwriter Robbie Roottrees was allegedly tried and convicted under the name Robert in French court of law. Okay, so again points at the Gwyn's kids. It seems he, again, allegedly embezzled from the company RR Productions to fuel a gambling habit that left him hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt. He fled to Paris, where he grew up, and then Silver Screen continues to insist this is all very much allegedly, assaulted an officer who came to question him. The article's author says they were unable to get a statement from French authorities, but received information from an anonymous source and were able to confirm through public record that there was a trial involving a Robbie Roottrees around the time that Brother Trouble was cancelled. Okay, so one of the brothers was in trouble, and again, it just confirms those links to Paris. Now, can we therefore figure out what this guy's name was? Like, will he appear under some other listing? You come across a small mention of Wild Bill. Apparently a director who considered Wild Bill his friend once hired him to make a small cameo in a war movie called Christmas Mission. Apparently Wild Bill lived up to his reputation. He showed up drunk 3 days in a row. I couldn't remember his lines. He also kept hitting on an actress who was supposed to be doing a very somber, serious role. Wild Bill was dropped from the picture. He and the director no longer speak. Okay, but that still doesn't tell us what is his name, because he's not on the list. How do we know what his name is? Okay, there's an article about Ron Roottrees, 1984. Don't blame nepotism, he gets results. After finding some small screen success, first as the director of many soap opera episodes and then stepping in as the showrunner to turn around a few struggling productions, Ron has decided to start his own television production company. Ron was born in the US but grew up in Paris with his once famous mother and his brother Robbie. He gobbled up American cinema whenever he could, and when he was old enough returned to Hollywood to attend film school. He brings a special kind of charisma and an eye for unusual shots, particularly when it comes to comedy. Those he's worked with have gone on record as saying he's an attentive director who can work with actors to make sure the timing of a joke lands perfectly. Okay, so him and his brother have a very different reputation in the industry then. Ron plans to pitch a new show to major television studios as soon as 1986. Until then, he plans to find the right project. He has occasionally called upon his younger brother for script punch-ups and has thought about bringing him into the fold. So potentially we could see that one of them is married to the Penelope Tessa Green, right? Because she ends up on the show that they make. I mean, I'm not saying he hired his wife, but he may have, or that's how they met and then they got married, right? That's possible too. Okay, so we've got the magazine, we've looked up the production company. Okay, so now we know that Ron is the older and Robbie is the younger. So we can now go to the board and we can enter those two. So we have Ronald Roottree and we have Robert Roottrees, and that's the wife. And then they have a kid called Jack as well. Yeah. There is some new evidence from that. Okay, yeah. So here's Jack. And here's... Okay, that's her and her kid, I assume. So we can... Okay, it could be... I guess they have two kids, so that could be the two different kids. So she has this picture. And then... Well, she's got two kids. But because we've used up the Roottrees, yeah, so we have Jack, and then they have a daughter. They must have a daughter afterwards because, well, we're out of men in the Roottree line. So what would his job be here? He's a director, and then... There we go. But then is it again telling us just work it out from the pictures? Like do some picture swappy thing? Well, which one looks more like a gambling addict to you? Because yeah, we didn't stumble upon any pictures while we were looking into that. And I guess we could get Jack here as the older one. And then this baby is the other child, maybe? But it could be Christina or Tessa. Now, I know she's Tessa Greeny, but that's her surname, so I'm not sure she would be naming her child that. But this was 1994, so he's still in K-12 education for sure. Are you taking over? Now, what worries me with this too is, again, there are no alternative picture options, which means those are the only pictures we're getting. The one we got with their mother. So is the game really just expecting us to use the confirmation mechanic to swap them around and do it? Or am I getting this wrong? Like, it feels weird that there would be an extra picture, but then they wouldn't make a spot for it, right? Like, it feels like if there was more pictures, we would have a spot for it. So that's worrying. Now we're back to this situation. I've looked everywhere. Which of the guys is this Wild Bill, because it's clearly not his real name. We know that Linus Cornwall and Walter Forsythe are those two guys. We know Walter Forsythe at least was in a movie at some point. So it feels like this might be him. That's his actual name. And he's just not known enough to it even made any news that he changed his name. Like, he's just some side actor no one cares about, which would make this guy Linus Cornwall. That's it, right? When we've eliminated all of the men from the remaining list, and we're just left with a ton of women. If this is a picture of her from, does it say from when exactly? Because it says she was doing the occupation of this person is going to be a baby. Finally, it comes to use after I spotted it there. So what does it leave us? It leaves us with Clancy. He has a job, he has a picture, he hasn't confirmed. It leaves us with Gywndoline, but we don't know occupation. It leaves us with Bonnie, unknown occupation. And those two with no pictures. So this must be a girl, and that leaves us between Tessa and Christina. Like, do we just start trying things? Do we start trying combinations? Because again, as I'm saying, because those people, the two brothers here, Ernie, Gwyneth, Gywndoline, they don't have alternative pictures. That implies to me we're not going to find alternative pictures. That one picture, that group picture of the generation they're in, that's it. We're not getting any more. Which means we have to make a link somehow. Again, are we supposed to be like, which of those kids looks the most like one of those women? Are we supposed to make that sort of comparison? Like, she wears glasses, maybe her mother has bad eyesight. If we put their pictures and those two are correct, then that would confirm with the pictures, right? So if we put them like this, that doesn't confirm. So if we switch it around, no, which means Clancy's wrong. I got it wrong. Like, I thought, do I switch those two pictures because I got led astray with some comment where I said that guy looks like that guy? If I switch their pictures here and then I switch their pictures here, that also doesn't work. Okay, well, I don't... Oh my. Oh my. Oh, did I get confused about this job? Because it said that Clark was hanging out with James, not with Carl. And that's where the advertisement came from. Him and Clark were hanging out, and the dad's advert... Yeah, I've totally messed that up, because this is the guy that's in advertising. Right? So does that now let us try the pictures? Yes. Okay, yeah, that one's on me for sure, 200%. Just completely picked the wrong guy for the advertising job. Okay, yeah, we've got lots of optional things as well. Booyah! But now that leaves us in further desperation. Was this a smart move? Confirming it like that? Should we have again tried for an Ernie picture here? Patricia Jones didn't confirm. That's interesting, because I thought the whole point was Patricia Christiansen was married to someone who wasn't notable, right? Did I misread that thing? Yeah, daughter of the owner of Christiansen Steel, married to an older man of no notable status, and was writing to someone who was not him. Are we saying that they eventually got married then? Afterwards, somehow? Because that would bring it. So what, they have a secret child that is being raised by someone else, but then they manage to actually get married after her husband dies, and then they're able to bring Sam into the fold of the family because she's an actual legitimate Roottrie, right? So even though she was born before Patricia got married into the family, she actually was a Roottrie, and this will be the people that she had to give the kid to first. Well, that brings us back to, we don't know what Clancy's job is. We don't know the 3 wives here. And apparently there is an alternative picture of Reina. I mean, it feels like there would be, because she's so popular and she was in magazines, so I'm not sure. How am I missing that? Like nothing printed with her on it. Okay, this has dropped the value of this Clark note again. How does this remain at 5? What are we still missing from here? We missed something in Teen Blast. Okay, yeah. She was on the cover when she was 16. You got the cover and article to your thing. Okay. That just adds an extra picture. Wow, that is some hair. I remember crimped hair. There's an article from 1994 and mentions TMS and Brother Trouble. One important thing I learned from an early age is that dreams are not outside of your grasp. I mean, if you have all the money in the world, you can have anything you want, right? It's that easy, really. My grandpa was a college professor who taught lectures about history. Okay, is this where we get that he was a college professor? Clancy? Yeah, Clancy. He always told me that history is full of people from famous families who wasted their fame and fortune by taking it for granted. Instead, he told me I should go out and use my name to accomplish something. I think he might have practiced that lecture a lot because I have other people in my family that have also made the Roottrie name famous for things besides candy. His older sister even wrote a book that some of my friends tell me had to read in school. I took his advice, and now I work with my mom designing clothing. I help decide what colors and patterns I want to model. Then she designs the clothes with a team of amazing men and women. Although my grandpa passed away earlier this year, Grandma Laura tells me he was really proud of what I've managed to accomplish. Okay, so he was a professor. So now we have his job. That helps. Okay, but that means we literally can be having like this sort of tidbit of information in like offhand article about someone completely different. Doesn't directly link to the original person, which, I mean, I guess that's what this game is about, but when you're down to your last few guesses, things are tough. Things are tough. Now, what else can we extend here? We have those 2 here, so we know there's gonna be 2 girls that are Roottries, but we've not seen much about Elias. Like, the only reason we know this is Elias is because he's mentioned somewhere in a book, and then he has a name tag on his overalls. I've not actually seen all that much about him, and he's a mechanic, so it's not like he's gonna be all over the internet with whatever he's doing. Not sure about his child. Again, the child would be theoretically in this generation, but actually considering, yes, the age gap here, then him being so young that he makes it to the next generation pictures, this child is unlikely to be in any of, like, is not in any of the group pictures. Is gonna be a picture somewhere else, maybe again as a baby with someone. Now, Caroline did talk about how her sister and cousin just marrying boring men and having boring lives. So it is possible that the 2 just ended up as housewives. But I noticed that like news anchor is an option. It was the guy that was on TV reading the news at the start of the game, also a Roottrie. Just probably not, but that would be funny. Okay, well, can we make any assumption here about the looks? Like, again, if I was going to guess, I would say this is more likely to be Caroline's sister, like from the look and the fact that they're next to each other on the picture. And again, they only have one picture, so we're not getting anything else. And this, because this other girl also very much reminds me of Sam. But we don't know what her occupation would be. And is that now? That's 2 potential, 3 potential. Yeah, okay, so we don't have a... Well, we could start drawing Ernie's pictures again. No, we're wrong. We're wrong again. Can swap those. Okay, yeah. I don't know if there's any other way to distinguish them that tells us this is this person. They have a single picture. There is another picture coming to compare their face. And I don't know what else was there to say about their appearance to know that it was them. The housewives I got from other one wrote about them. They had boring lives with boring husbands. So that sounds like they just went up being housewives. But yes, I was right about Clancy's face all along, and I just got so confused because I put the wrong job and I didn't have the little bit about him being a professor from that Teen Blast article. And again, the pictures between Ernie and Clark. But well then, and it was the Patricia Christiansen, so she did indeed eventually got rid of their boring husband and married the guy she had a fire baby with before. Booyah!